Hello, wonderful. It's Sarah K Ramsey here to talk about dealing with your anger after a toxic relationship. And this is what someone asked in the group, and they were asking about, gosh, I've left this relationship and I just get so angry. And of course, they were writing it as if it were a problem. And I understand why they don't want to be angry. But I do want to say, why shouldn't you be angry? Okay? And toxic people train us. Toxic people don't have a problem with anger. They have a problem with your anger, right? Because your anger gives you fuel, right? It's like you thought, it's like you put on, if you read the original Wizard of Oz book, the Emerald City wasn't really emerald. They wore emerald colored glasses and it made it seem as if everything was perfect. And it's like when you started researching verbal abuse or emotional abuse or even domestic violence, that it's like the glasses came off and you started to see the relationship for what it was, not what you hoped it would be or what you were convincing yourself that it was. Okay? And if you're not angry after that, then something is very, very wrong. Now, it can feel very odd because you're probably in denial for a long time. You just, oh, it's fine. It's not really happening. Our brain is fabulous at tricking us into everything being okay sometimes, right? And it's a lot of work to establish boundaries with a parent. It's a lot of work to leave a partner, okay? And so sometimes our brain kind of tricks us into not doing the work, and you've probably heard of the term denial, right? And if you are a good, kind, loving, giving, and forgiving person, you expect people to be good, kind, loving, giving, and forgiving back. We all see from our own perspective. And so if you don't understand, if you're not a manipulative person, you didn't see when someone was manipulating you. Okay, so you just didn't realize what was happening. And then the things that were happening, it was like, well, but he's nice some of the time, but she's a really good mom in this way. But, my friend is really good at this, whatever it is. We try to make the nice behavior make up for the bad behavior, which is very dangerous, right? But we try to make the nice behavior, the nicest version of them, make up for the other parts, the yucky parts of them. And so we like to live in denial, and our optimism just gets in such the way, and we think, oh, but they could just be so good. Oh, it's going to work out. I just know they can only get the help they need, or if I can only figure out the right way to say things, or if I can only work on myself, then it'll all work out fine. And then it doesn't. And you're angry. And if you weren't angry, then something really, really would be wrong. Because the reality is, you're probably treated in ways that should have made you angrier a lot earlier, right? But you got used to really bad behavior. Like, well, yeah, he just throws things sometimes. Or, she just says that sometimes. She doesn't mean it. And the reality is, you probably should have gotten angry 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago, whatever it is. There was anger that should have happened that didn't. And so then you relive the relationship as you're still processing through things. And you think, oh my gosh, did that really happen? And then you get angry again. But it's the anger you should have felt 3 years ago. It's the anger you should have felt 3 months ago. It's the anger you should have felt 30 years ago. But you didn't feel it at the time. You felt afraid. You felt frightened. You tried to, your brain kind of tricked you into, oh, it's not really that bad. It's not really, they don't mean it. And so you never felt the anger that you would have felt if you'd seen it happen to someone else. And as you relive those examples in your life, if you saw your best friend go through that, you'd probably be really angry. If you saw your daughter go through that, you'd be really angry. If you saw a person, just a random woman on the street that you don't even know, you'd probably be really angry. But something in your head told you that if it happened to you, then you deserved it. And toxic people are really, 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 really good at making you feel like you deserved it. Well, if you hadn't said it that way. Well, if you come home earlier. Well, if you had, held your tongue. If you had, hadn't flirted with that guy. They make you feel like you deserve it. And so then they don't give you the right, they don't make you feel like you have a right to be angry. Anger is only reserved for the toxic person, right? The toxic person gets to be angry and you don't get to be angry. That's the way the game works, which is a really, really maddening game that drives us crazy. So if you feel a little bit like you're crazy, that's why. And so I read one time, Lundy Bancroft, I think he's so brilliant. He said, toxic people don't have a problem with anger. They have a problem with your anger, because your anger gives you fuel to take action. Use your anger as a fuel to take action. Don't think something is wrong with you, that you are angry that bad things happen to you. Something was wrong when you didn't get angry the first time. So now as you are reliving it in your head and redoing it in your head and re-imaging these things in your head, it's kind of like leftover anger, right? It should have been processed through 6 years ago. But if it has to be processed through today, and if you never got angry about it, then you would keep putting up with the same behavior from everybody else who wanted to dish it out to you, which is not a solution in any way. So for those of you who are replaying things in your head and you are angry, good job. Thumbs up from me. You don't want to turn into an angry and bitter person long term, obviously. I hope that's not your impression of me. If so, I don't know how it possibly could be. You do want to forgive, but forgiveness and forgiveness without boundaries isn't a real thing. You don't have to, forgiveness is letting go so that it doesn't internally hurt you. It is not about not having any expectations for how you are treated. You can forgive someone and let it go, but still have expectations for how you are treated and how you want to be treated and how you expect to be treated and how you want your kids to see you treated and how you want your friends to see you treated and your niece and nephew and the kids you work with at school. It is the absolute right thing to do to have expectations for how other people treat you, and you will never ever 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 have a healthy relationship, a healthy romance, or a healthy friendship if you don't have those expectations. So if you're one of these people who feels like maybe you shouldn't have expectations, or it's wrong or bad to want people to treat you well, or it's somehow selfish, it's because you have been trained by the toxic person to think that way. If I told you I don't have any expectations for how people treat me. If they want to call me a bitch, they can call me a bitch. If they want me to drop everything so I can run and go do whatever they want, that's what I'm going to do. You would look at me like I was crazy, right? If I said those words. Well, I let people just express all their anger they want. So they can rage at me. They can throw things around me. They can throw things at the people close to me, and I'm okay with it. You would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because when you say it out loud, it sounds crazy, right? But we've all said it in our heads. So that's why I say it out loud. So it sinks in. You're like, no, that's crazy. I would never want to say that. But if you have experienced that and you're just now feeling the feelings of it, there is nothing wrong. And you have the absolute right to be angry, as you should. Recognize in the future. Learn from that anger, recognize it recognize it in your future so that you don't go through it again. Have a great day.